Before you send a deposit for a golden retriever puppy, ask for the parents' OFA numbers. If they cannot send them, do not send money. I only know that because one of my closest friends is someone who has raised over 200 litters across more than 20 years, and when I got Nessie, he showed me how different the useful questions are from the obvious ones. The uncomfortable part is this. A breeder can sound polished, keep a spotless setup, answer yes to every basic question, and still sell puppies whose biggest problems were predictable before the litter was born. The order matters. First comes the proof you can verify in 2 minutes. Then comes the family history line most buyers skip. Then comes the early raising and temperament piece that shapes the dog you live with after the cute stage ends. Then comes the contract language that tells you whether the breeder stays responsible for the dog for life. A weak breeder decision follows you into your kitchen at 6 a.m., into the training mistakes you did not create, into the vet bills you did not expect, and into the guilt of realizing the warning signs were there before you ever met your puppy. This was the first thing I got wrong with Nessie. I was judging the puppies, not the person creating them. Cute puppies tell you nothing useful about breeding standards. A clean house is good, friendly communication is good, a polished website is good. None of those things tell you what the breeder has been producing across years, across litters, and across the relatives behind the puppy in front of you. AKC papers are weak evidence. A wait list is weak evidence. A high price is weak evidence. AKC tells you who the parents are. It does not tell you whether those parents should have been bred. Demand tells you puppies are selling. It does not tell you the breeding program is sound. That shift matters because shopping and auditing are not the same job. Shopping looks for charm. Auditing looks for records. Shopping reacts to the litter in front of you. Auditing asks what happened in the litters behind it. Public health records are the first hard filter, but most buyers use the phrase health tested way too loosely. If a breeder says health tested, stop nodding. Say this instead. Send me the registered names or OFA numbers for the sire and dam. For a golden retriever, I want 4 things verified in public records: hips, elbows, heart, eyes. I want the heart work done by a cardiologist. I want the eye work current enough to matter. I do not want a casual promise that the dogs were checked by a vet. A DNA panel is useful. It can rule out some inherited mutations. It cannot clear a dog's hips. It cannot clear elbows. It cannot clear a heart. It cannot clear eyes. A cheek swab is not an orthopedic exam, not a cardiac exam, and not an eye certification. Paper can be memorized. Outcomes cannot. That was the first reversal that made my stomach drop. Someone who has raised over 200 litters told me the breeders he worry most are not the sloppy ones. They are the ones who learned the checklist, copied the right words, and still do not track what keeps showing up in their lines. 2 cleared parents still wasn't enough. The next line I use is blunt. Tell me why you chose this sire and dam specifically. Tell me what the parents, grandparents, siblings, and previous puppies from these lines died from and at what ages. Tell me whether this pairing has been repeated and what those puppies were like as they matured. That sounds heavy because it is heavy. Many important problems are line-based, not single test-based. Temperament trends are often line-based. Cancer patterns are often line-based. Allergy trends, structural weakness, softness under pressure, poor recovery, noise sensitivity, and chronic skin issues can show up as repeating family stories long before they show up in a marketing page. The first time I heard someone who has raised over 200 litters say past parents are not the same as low-risk puppies, I looked at Nessie on the floor, then back at the pedigree on my screen, then back at Nessie again. That one sentence changes the whole frame. A strong breeder answer sounds specific. It sounds like someone keeping notes for years. It sounds like this sire tends to improve steadiness with children. This dam line has aged well into the low teens. One uncle had early cancer, and I watched that branch carefully. I repeated this pairing once, and I liked the confidence, but I am monitoring coat and allergy issues in 2 young dogs. That is what tracked outcomes sounds like. A weak breeder answer sounds smooth. They're both sweet. Everyone loves these puppies. I have never had problems. My lines are healthy. Buyers come back all the time. That is reassurance. That is not data. Defensiveness is worse. Surprise that you asked is worse. Family history gives you the risk picture, but the first 8 weeks still shape how that puppy meets the world you bring it into. By the time you visit at 8 weeks, the breeder has watched the whole rehearsal, and you're seeing a short audition. The next 3 lines matter more than most people realize. Tell me where the puppies are raised. Tell me what they are exposed to before 8 weeks. Tell me how you evaluate temperament and match puppies to homes. I want specifics here, not a vibe. I want surfaces, not just toys. Tile, grass, concrete, wobble boards, thresholds, crates, grooming tables, nail handling, collars, leashes, short car rides, household sounds, new people, and a plan for recovery after novelty. A good breeder notices who startles, who bounces back, who pushes forward, who follows people, who settles without spiraling, and who needs a quieter home. That piece clicked for me with Nessie in a very ordinary moment. I was in the kitchen, a stainless steel pan slipped into the sink, and the sound cracked through the room. Nessie popped up, took 2 quick steps back, looked at the sink, and then came right back in to sniff the cabinet. My shoulders loosened because someone who has raised over 200 litters told me recovery is the trait he watches hardest, not the absence of startle.
That is why the breeder should be matching the puppies, not the buyers picking based on a 10-minute cuddle. The bold puppy in your lap might be perfect for an active family and a bad match for a first-time owner in a small apartment. The quiet puppy by the wall might be observant and stable, or it might be soft and easily overwhelmed. The breeder has weeks of context. You do not. Actually, wait. That was not the kitchen. That was the hallway by the laundry room, because I remember the vacuum was still leaning against the wall from the night before. That detail stuck with me, because Nessie's recovery made more sense once I understood what good early raising looks like before pickup day. Early raising shapes the start, so the next thing I want is proof that the breeder stays responsible after the puppy leaves. This answer changed who I trusted. Use this exact line. If I cannot keep this dog at any age, the dog comes back to you. A strong answer is immediate. Yes, it is in the contract. Call me first. The dog never goes to a shelter. The dog never gets quietly rehomed through a stranger on the internet. The breeder remains the backstop for that dog for life. That line tells you more than most health guarantees do. A 2-year guarantee can still come from someone who disappears the moment life gets messy. A lifetime take-back clause means the breeder is willing to carry the consequences of the dogs they produce even 9 years later, even after a divorce, a move, a baby, a medical crisis, or an owner who failed. A weak answer is foggy. Find a good home. Let me know what happens. We can post for you. That language tells you the breeder sold a puppy. It does not tell you the breeder accepted lifelong responsibility for a dog. Lifetime accountability is huge, but one final answer tells you whether the litter existed because of a breeding goal or because the puppies would sell. This final answer exposes motive. Tell me why you bred these 2 dogs, and tell me what would make you not repeat this pairing. A strong breeder answer sounds like selection. I used this sire to improve structure without losing biddability. I liked the dam's recovery and house temperament. I'm watching the offspring for maturity, coats, allergy trends, and confidence in busy homes. I would not repeat it if I saw softness,
poor fronts, weak movement, early health problems, or owner feedback that did not match the goal. Weak answers sound like inventory. People love this color. Families wanted another litter. The timing worked out. They are both friendly. The stud was available. Puppies from this line always go fast. Good breeders sound like people making decisions. Weak breeders sound like people moving product. The thing that changed it for me was realizing you are not buying the puppy in front of you. You are buying the odds the breeder created before that puppy was born. That one sentence pulls the whole process into focus. You are not just choosing the face you fell in love with, you are choosing the standards behind the face, the records behind the standards, and the honesty behind the records. Cute is common, selection is rare. Proof beats polish. Records beat reassurance. Demand is not evidence. AKC registration does not require hip, elbow, heart, or eye clearances. Here is the 10-minute action step. Open the OFA database in one tab and your breeder list in another. Then send this exact message to every breeder still on your list. Hi, can you send me the registered names or OFA numbers for the sire and dam, confirm hips, elbows, heart, and eyes, and tell me what the parents and grandparents died from and at what ages? Read the tone of the reply as hard as the words. A strong breeder sends proof, specifics, and dates. A weak breeder sends comfort. If the response is vague, irritated, evasive, or full of reassurance without records, move that breeder down your list or off it entirely. And even that checklist only helps if you know how bad breeders hide in plain sight. Some of the biggest red flags show up before you ask a single question, on the website, in the photos, and in the first minute of a phone call. The next video will give you the 1-minute screen that catches bad golden breeders fast, before you waste time, emotion, or deposit. Next, I'll show you the breeder answers that sound reassuring before you send a deposit, but quietly reveal which puppies are most likely to struggle later. In the comments, share the one trait your golden has now that makes you realize which breeder question mattered most, whether that's confidence, allergies, energy level, or calmness. Subscribe if you want the kind of insider golden retriever guidance most owners never hear, from living with the breed and from what the breeder I work with has learned across 200+ litters.